Hey guys, welcome to another match of Littlewargame. Currently, I am playing the blue pieces. I'm Neagat and I'm playing the blue pieces here. And I'm going against my opponent, Apple Bonsai, who is playing with the red pieces. Alright, cool. So, yeah, another interesting match of a 1v1 going on here. Let's go ahead and look at the strategies we're going for. It looks like this is pretty standard, especially with all the opponents I've been playing with, to go for this first house. I know that some people have the option to wait and get their first castle, and then go into house, and then go into an armory, or um, a barrack, or whatever they might choose. But it looks like my opponent here goes from house into to something whenever he's ready. Let's see what he does. He goes into a workshop. Okay, so and I go into a barrack. So we have a mech versus a Rex game going on. So that's pretty exciting. This is actually probably my second or third game playing against mech, and that's because I'm pretty new to Littlewargame in the first place. But I think this is going to be a pretty interesting and pretty exciting matchup. So while this is all going on, my opponent isn't sending any workers to scout, while in the meantime I am planning on sending a raider and then another raider to follow that first raider up, all in a scout. Something I like to do is I like to queue up uh, two raiders, and then I like to queue up two workers. I'm going to go ahead and change that. And then afterwards, with all the money that's left over, once I get to 260, because I've already got all my production queued, I can send over a worker, and I can build my second base. It looks like my opponent is also at that point where he's about to build his second base as well. So we're pretty, I think we're pretty even economically at this point. Let's go ahead and see how this raider does. I have him hotkeyed, so should start seeing some fighting sometime soon. Alright, so this is where I get the first inclination that, alright, he's going mech. Should be okay. Try and kill that. So when I got this super low, I basically knew I could harass this worker and kill it. And then, he does a good job of microing that, but he loses that worker and that unit. So that's a really, really rough start for him. Really rough. You can see here that I start trying to go for worker kills. I think this raider gets stuck. And so I'm trying to micro this. I don't realize he's not attacking anything. And so that raider dies for basically no reason, which is pretty sad, I think. Yeah, and then I like this cool mechanic with the raider where you can jump over walls, like so. And that really helps to get away from tricky situations like that. Alright, so back at home, while this is all happening, I'm producing, I'm getting archers, and then I'm also going into an advanced workshop. This is a very, it's a play that I really like to do, where instead of, I think the most common play to go for when you're playing barracks, racks, is to go for 3 barracks right when you're on your second expansion, get an army, and then go ahead and expand, or go ahead and attack or fight or whatever. But in this case, I'm pretty confident I can play a little bit greedy. So I'm only producing out of 1 barrack, and then I'm setting up a timing attack at some point. Um, this move out with 2 Gatling guns, I'm pretty prepared for. I've got units to defend my base, and it's just 2 Gatling, um, so that shouldn't be too much of a problem, I think. He does arrive. He does see that I'm on 2 bases, compared to now his freshly started 2 bases, and we have a little bit of aggression here. I decide to move out of this checkpoint so I can actually, push him off. But typically, having your opponent in a little choke point here is pretty ideal. Pretty ideal. More mech play for my opponent. Oof, this is something that I see some players do where they start floating resources. It's really important that you get all of your money on the map somehow, because it really doesn't matter how much money you have in your bank. If it's not on the map, it doesn't really help you in any way. So as you can see, I'm going for my first drop. By the time this first airship came out of the advanced workshop here, I had more than 5 units to go in it, so that was good timing for me, I think. And then I'm also getting another airship, and I'm going to get another drop ready to go. And by that time, I should have another 5 or 6 units ready to go. Alright, let's see how this drop goes. I believe I just dropped straight into his worker line, which is really nice because he's not mining anymore from that worker line. He's only getting 300 minerals, or 200 now, while I'm getting, about 1,000, around 900, that area. And so I'm just putting on this aggression. I'm macroing at home. I'm getting this base ready to go, and then I'm just putting pressure on. You can see I'm we're definitely occupied with our units, and as a result, some of our macro issues are definitely at play. But at this point, I'm making sure to keep my minerals as low as I can, getting this base, getting this attack ready. I've got it all loaded up, and then getting ready for this drop. I think for this strategy to work really well with these 2 drops here, it's really important that you keep your units alive while what's the word for it? While making the most damage possible. So, I see I'm this is a pretty cool trick of mine, I think. So I wanted to drop here, but then I see most of his army is actually here already. So the fact that this drop is going on, I only lost 1 archer to fight some of his army. While this drop is going on, I'm making sure to, harass his second base. I'm getting my 3rd base up. I'm making sure to produce. My opponent right now is, he's having to worry about what's going on at home, which really allows me to fight or to macro up in my own base. At this point, it's pretty clear I lost. I lost this fight, but I did a really good job of making sure that his army is occupied. I'm dropping still, and now it's time for me to get out of there. But you can see I put on this pretty constant aggression, where I'm always doing something. I'm always dropping. Then back at home, ooh, this is pretty rough. I was almost up 700 resources, but the second I realized that, I quickly start building things. I think I should be going for a 4th base really soon here too. Yeah, and I'm always looking at my income, and I'm just, whenever I see something going on like that where it's like over 300 resources, I'm like, oh gosh, it's terrible. I go for my upgrades. I'm always producing units. I could have another drop going on, so like 3 drops, dropping here, could be dropping here, could be dropping here, kind of thing. That would be really really efficient. And um, and that's what I think I go for actually. I want to constantly put the aggression, especially if my opponent is playing mech. I don't think mech is it's not too mobile. It doesn't have a lot of map pressure. It is good defensively, as you can see. There's these spikes that really slow down my units here, and that really makes it so that these Gatling guns and whatever mech units he has can really lay down the hurt. But what do I go for? I go for drops again, right? And so this is, I think this is the key to what I'm trying to do. I'm going for multiple, multi-pronged harass, and these airships are still alive from earlier in the game, which makes them so valuable because that means I can bring more and more units into this fight. And so I drop into his main base. The purpose of this drop is to keep his army um, occupied, especially when I realized his whole army was here. And I drop into his second base, and I'm destroying him economically. He's only got 9 workers. I'm constantly producing workers because I love income, and the more income I get, the more money I can spend, the more money I can even waste. That's kind of. And so I'm putting on this pressure. I've got archers, I've got army. He can't really move down this ramp because he'll get stuck. But I really am putting the pressure on my opponent here. This time I'm taking a 4th base, and he is stuck on 1. And how much gold does this have? His gold mine has 2,000 gold left, while I've got obviously access to a lot more than that much gold. After that drop, I pretty much bottle cap him here. I'm curious to see if he's got like any proxy bases. See if he's got the economy to be on more than just one base, because mech is pretty expensive to play. I think obviously the more bases you have, the better, for sure. I wonder what my opponent sees. Yeah, so my opponent only knows that I have 2 bases at all. Um, or in reality, I have 4. I have some pretty oversaturated bases, so I probably should be going for a 5th base, maybe even a 6th, and then putting down some watchtowers to protect those bases. But at this point, I'm basically going, I should put some aggression on. I know I can. I know I have more economy than my opponent does. If I trade, even if it's a bad trade, he doesn't have the resources to replenish his stuff. So I go for this fight, and as you can see, it's pretty decent. I should be moving this army along to help as well. But yeah, my drop play made it so that my opponent was stuck on 2 bases here, and he could never really expand. He could never really grow this army out. Here I am taking my 5th base. I'm going for upgrades. So I'm macroing and making sure my resources are low, and then I finally move that army that was here, and I drop right on top of his army. That really just leaves this game in my hands. To be honest, he doesn't have the army to defend, and it's just a matter of destroying all of his buildings, getting all of his workers. It was a well-played game by my opponent. I think that Raider Scout at the beginning really made it so that it was hard for him. And I was just constantly harassing. That's probably my favorite thing about this build here, where you go for house barracks, raider, and then as early as you can, getting that advanced workshop is really, really nice. Yeah. So my opponent doesn't GG out, he just waits for me to kill everything. I think that was a really, really well played game um, by myself and by my opponent as well. So if you liked watching this replay and liked my analysis of it, please leave a like, subscribe because I'm putting content like this out every day. I'm really hoping that the game of Little Wars grows, and having a channel that grows and advertises the game, I think is a good way of getting more players in the game and really improving the quality of the play that we have. All right, guys, thank you so much for watching. I'm Neagat, and I hope you guys have a great day. Bye bye.